Hello everyone and welcome to the Platform 1 Christmas special with me, Jack, and Dave here once again. We're going to be here for about 40 minutes with bringing you a bit of Christmas cheer on this lovely Christmas day.
It is indeed. Well, we had a couple of hours before Christmas dinner, didn't we? So bringing you some of our favourites from, well, over 20 episodes of Platform 1 now, and an absolutely fantastic modelling year in 2019 as well. There's been some fantastic new releases, some great models coming through as well. So we thought we'd bring some presents to the table of our very own and show you some of the highlights. That's it.
As you can see, we've got plenty of exciting gifts here on the table, but we're not going to tell you what's coming up just yet. We're going to leave a few surprises for later on. So
a couple of little questions in there too, I think.
Absolutely. We've got a few of your lovely suggestions for topics and questions throughout the last few weeks, so we're going to go over those as well. So if you did ask your question earlier, stick around to the end and you might see that question answered at some point during the show.
Now, we've had these under the Hattons Christmas tree for a number of weeks now, and I've really been looking forward to what you've put underneath these, Jack. So let's get started.
Can I open the first gift?
You can indeed.
I think we'll go for this one right in the front here.
This is where we started with the best 00 Steam era items that have been released this year. So all you modelers of the big four, of the BR transition eras as well, right through into preservation, there's been some fantastic new releases of completely new models and some old favourites coming through as well. And the first one to take a really close look at is the N7 here, isn't it? Really, from Oxford. Now, this is a classic model of a Great Eastern Railway locomotive, released in 3 liveries so far, with a 4th model coming through in early 2020. And these were released towards the start of the year in that Great Eastern Railway grey there we see, which is quite an unusual livery for a locomotive, mainly replicating the World War I scene, but coming through into the big four as well.
There are a really great range of liveries here for this model. As you touched on, that really unusual wartime grey, which is not something we often get to see. And it is really nice to have, you know, that pre-grouping look on one of these locomotives available, but you have got something for most modelers and most eras of the lifespan of this class, really, with the BR and LNER colour schemes available too. But it is an incredible model, this one, really, isn't it? With the amount of detailing that came in here, especially at the price point that this one comes in at as well. It's coming in at just about £98 there. And you've got a lot of die-cast construction here, haven't you, on the chassis, on the tanks, the full shebang, really. And there's a lot of detail here, too, with all the condensing apparatus and pipework and handrails and everything, too.
This has got to be one of the most characterful locomotives we've had into stock this year. I certainly think so. And with the amount of extra detailing you've got there, as you pointed out, including the pipework and the Westinghouse brake equipment, too, full cab interior. But as you touched on, you've got that die-cast chassis, but they've always managed to cram in the 8-pin digital ready capacity as well. But you can get pre-sound fitted versions. They're available to order right now as well. And they come with authentic sounds recorded from the only surviving N7 locomotive. And to cover a little bit of history, it's a real shame that only one of these locomotives survives. With hundreds built to haul suburban passenger services from London right through the 1920s up until the early 1960s, they packed a lot of power for the size, really. They really were capable haulers.
Really were a pocket rocket one of these, weren't they? And as you say, though, there is one preserved, isn't there? And it does still get a fair amount of use on Heritage Railways.
It does indeed. I believe it's been pretty much all over the UK ever since the 1990s when they steamed it. So it's a great opportunity to get one, not only to complement a lot of Great Eastern Railway models that are already out there and maybe in your range, but if you're into the preservation era as well, you've got an excuse to get one on any layout around the country, really.
Exactly.
So a fantastic release from Oxford Rail, which is being followed up next year with the J27 as well, which we're really looking forward to. But if we're looking bigger as well, we've had some great express locomotives through, some really prestigious locos. And we've got to take a look at Hornby's Lord Nelson.
We have to. We don't have one on the table here, unfortunately, but here are some fantastic photos of that class. This really is one of Hornby's top exquisite models that they've brought through this year. And as we've touched on before, Hornby really does have a penchant for creating lovely, prestigious express passenger locomotives, and you can't get any more prestigious than the Lord Nelson, really, can you, with them being built to haul those continental boat trains down in the southern coast, obviously with the Southern Railway, but they did pass on quite late into BR use as well, didn't they, as you can see from the different liveries on screen at the moment.
They did indeed, and when they were built, these were a huge marketing exercise for the Southern Railway, as well as a powerful locomotive. They were actually the most powerful in Britain at the time, and the Southern Railway really made a point of saying so. built to haul a lot of what they call the channel boat trains between London and the ports like Dover, etc., down in the southeast. So some really heavy trains with not only passengers but various amounts of baggage in there as well over those southern hills. So really powerful locomotive needed with an actual unique 8-cylinder beat as well. So it's got a really iconic sound to it. As you touched on, these locomotives worked right through to the 1960s. They were a favourite amongst enthusiasts. As you may have guessed by the Lord Nelson name, they were all named after famous admirals and naval figures in British history. So you got names such as Sir Francis Drake in there as well, Sir Walter Raleigh, some really iconic parts of history on a locomotive that's pretty much, well, incomparable to anything else in the Southern Railway fleet.
And I believe this was the most powerful locomotive in UK at the time, wasn't it? So it really is an incredible locomotive, and Hornby's model absolutely showcases that off to its maximum as well. As you'll be able to see here, there's incredible levels of detail. You've got that full cab interior there. You've got a die-cast chassis. Hornby's proven 5-pole motor with lots of impressive pulling power in there, and obviously quite a few different liveries available. So it really is a lovely model, this one.
And these came out right at the start of 2019, these locomotives, and some of the variations in there are absolutely exquisite as well. We've got the different tender styles, we have the different boilers as well, with the different bullied chimneys fitted to them, little variations needed for the BR era as well as the Southern era too. So the whole lifespan of the locomotives can be covered, especially as the only locomotive preserved, Lord Nelson, is available as a Model 2.
Absolutely. And these come in at a bargain price now as well, don't they?
Yes.
You can pick one up for just £124, which is really amazing for the size of the loco. Not just really, but you know, the amount of extras that you come with it as well, and the amount of detail and performance that they pack as well. And of course, there's a TTS version available too, isn't there?
There is indeed, and that covers that unique exhaust sound which we touched on before as well there. So you can have a pre-sound fitted loco on your layout for not much more than the bargain price of £124. So take a look at that link in the description and orders today. But what's a locomotive without rolling stock for it to haul? You've got to have something on the back at the end of the day. A locomotive's got to have a purpose. And even for steam era modellers, it's been a great year for new models coming through too. Speaking of the Lord Nelson, what's a Southern loco without Southern coaches? We've had Hornby's 59-foot bullied coaches come through. Now these were developed in the 1940s as a pretty standard design before the British rail coaches came into stock. These have been with us for a couple of months now, a brand new model for 2019, and they're available, as you see there, in both the post-war Southern Railway malachite green, but also BR's take on the green as well.
That's it. It's something that's been yearned for a long time by a lot of modelers, really, and it was great to see these come back to the range with such a lovely high detail model as well. Hornby's coaches have really been incredible in the past few years, and this is no exception. As you can see from the photos, you've got the different tooled variations there for the brake coaches and the standard coaches as well, with the different window types, different door types, everything you need on there. You've got all the separately fitted handrails, hand bars on the doors and everything else as well, and really intricate livery detail as well. You can see the printing level on these is lovely too.
And they complement so many locomotives. We've touched on the Lord Nelson there, but there's a huge amount of Southern Railway engines on the market currently that these really do sit well with. And again, it's not all about passenger coaches this year. A lot of the more, shall we say, mundane vehicles have been brought to the market too. And one of those is Dapol's own Bogie Bolster E, which is a whole new model. Now this really is something special because the slight difference here is you can see the bogie bolsters on the top. Now they're actually movable and posable as well. It also comes with cosmetic couplings that you can replace the tension lock couplings with too, in a variety of liveries suitable for the 1960s. It does creep into the diesel era too, so maybe not just for your steam fans, but in that bauxite livery, they look great with a BR black heavy freight locomotive or something of that size.
Absolutely, and you do get the optional stanchions to plug into the tops, don't you? So there's quite a few operational opportunities to have with this one, because they were used for quite a few different duties, weren't they? For infrastructure work and freight work and quite a few other different tasks as well. But the model is great as well. It's as you can see here from the running video, they've got great running potential to them. They look absolutely fantastic, especially when you've got a load on there as well. And obviously, as Dave touched on, they've got the NEM couplings in there. You've got proper detailed buffers. A lot going on in the underframe of these wagons as well, so it really does pack a punch.
There's a really low centre of gravity too as well, so as you could see in the running footage there, They really are capable runners. You can have a huge rake of them behind a suitable BR Blue diesel locomotive or a steam locomotive too there, and they come in at 25.46 each, and there's 6 variations available, so some great variety of running numbers and specific markings on them, and of course they're available to order right now as well.
That's it. You can get any of these products you want right now on our website too. So if you click the links down in the description below, you'll be taken to the right page for what you need to buy, and you can find out even more about these fantastic models as well. But it's not just been the steam era that we've had some amazing models for this year, is it?
It's not. I really want to open a present.
It's your turn. Do the honours.
Let's have a look under what we've got here. And we have, well, it's one of our RHTT sets.
Now that's the Sandite version that you've got there, isn't it, Dave?
It is indeed, and as you were saying, it's not just been for steam era modelers in OO this year. There's been some great modern image locomotives and rolling stock coming through too, and one of the major ones this year has been our own RHTT. Now, obviously, on Christmas Day, we're pretty much at the end of the RHTT season now, but the last few months have seen these all over the UK network on the leaf busting and track clearing duties, hauled by an immense variety of traction. So you can pair these up with pretty much any modern diesel in your collection, right from the Class 20 up to the Class 70 and pretty much every stop in between.
That's it. I mean, these are seen all across the network. You can see them in Scotland, the south of England, Wales, central England, the northwest, anywhere these are used, because where doesn't have lethal, it's something that affects every part of the network, and it's a really important job that these were created specially for. And there is 2 different types of these, so there's a few different sets that they have just for the different types of workings that they have to do. So there's sometimes a 3-car set instead of the 2 cars. We sell a 2-car wagon pack with an extension pack also available to make it up to a 3-car, and we also sell a Sandite version and a water jetting version. So the water jetting one actually has more water jets on there, so it's more of a clearing of the track vehicle rather than sanditing to make better traction.
But you've said it yourself there. With those 2 or 3 vehicle sets, that is your whole train.
Yeah.
If you need a short rake on a layout just to fill a small siding, or you just want something a little bit more minimalist maybe, 2 locomotives and an RHTT set is a full operation, as you see all across the UK network throughout the autumn months. As we touched on before, a huge amount of different locomotives you can have there, and we've crammed pretty much every detail we can into the model. It's got heavy die-cast parts on it to keep the weight down as well, where it should be for better running. The individual modules that you see here each have over 50 different prints on them to cover all the safety signs and the emblems too. Full NEM couplings there as well. All the pipework that should be there is there too, so the detail has really gone to town on this.
Absolutely. We'll cut through a little bit of running footage here as well, so you can see what they're really like. And there are, as you can see, weathered versions available of these as well, because these do get incredibly filthy. There are some amazing photos online where you can barely make out what it is and what the loco is, because there's so much filth on there. So it's great to have the option of the pristine ones where you might be able to weather those up yourself, but we do those pre-weathered versions as well. And as you can see, they are absolutely beautiful and they run flawlessly too. And as you touched on, this is a whole train here. You might already have 2 locos that you could run one of these with. So it's absolutely perfect if you just want to pick up something and just immediately run away with it on your layout.
Well, let's be honest, if you're a modern image modeler and you've got 2 locomotives, you've pretty much got 2 locomotives that ran on the RHTT. There's so few locomotives that haven't really. If you're a modern modeler, I can pretty much guarantee you've already got something in your collection to go for it. And of course, they're available to order right now as well, so check out that link in the description. They do start at £118, and the weathered ones are a little bit more than that, but to really have that modern image scene with so much variety and traction, the RHTT is the way to go.
That's it. As we say, these are used everywhere, so pretty much any layout from the mid-2000s onwards can use one of these.
But possibly the one exception to a locomotive that's not hauled the RHTT, just one, has to be the little Ruster right at the front there. It might struggle a little bit, that one.
It might just have a little bit of pulling power in there, but I can't see it pulling one of these. But I was just going to say, I can spy a tiny little loco over here, and we've got to take a look at this one now.
This really is one of the smallest locomotives we've ever had, if not the smallest in OO gauge. This is the Ruston 48DS, and 3 versions of this are currently in stock, covering the John Deere version that you see there, the Queen Anne Long Gorm Distillery, and the War Department green as well. Now, this was a bit of a surprise in Hornby's announcement at the start of 2019 that this was being developed. It's quite unlike anything they've made before, really. It is outside their usual area of prestige passenger express locomotives and large diesels, but you can tell there from the running footage it's been made to Hornby's usual outstanding quality of models, and even for such a short wheelbase, running over the points there with absolutely no pickup issues, it's a miniature marvel.
It really is remarkable, this locomotive, to be honest with you. It's really something else. It's not like anything we've ever seen. As you touched on, this is probably one of the smallest locos that we've ever seen here at Hattons, and it's amazing how well it performs. There's so much being packed into this as well. There's a lot of detail here, and the livery application, as you'd expect from Hornby, is absolutely magnificent. Now, the Rostons pretty much saw use right across the country. The John Dewar example that we've got here on the table, it's got a bit of an interesting story to tell, as do, I think, most of the Rostons, to be honest with you, due to the nature where they were used. They were used on all sorts of different industrial sites. So the John Dewar one we have here, that was actually used on a whiskey distillery railway, up until the trade by rail dried up, but then they did keep it around just in case. I've heard a few little stories there about how it was maintained even though there was no traffic for it to haul, but they just wanted to keep it just in case, which is a bit of a lovely story, really. But they were used for a variety of different purposes. There's been pictures I've seen of them in biscuit factories, in refineries, steel works, no matter what, really. So any industrial scene on your layout, or even an industrial layout altogether, could probably use a Roston.
And it's great to get a classic looking locomotive on your layout too. Did a design dating right back to the 1930s and didn't really change much since until they were finally constructed in the late 1960s. But as he said there, running right through to the 1990s, quite a few surviving preservation today, so perfect for shunting a little yard or something along those sites. For those of you who need a little bit more power over the points, the extra wagon it comes coupled with is electrically coupled too, to have extra pickups on the wagon. But as you saw in the running footage before, over most points it does run absolutely perfectly without. It's fully digital capable as well. It's got a fully detailed cab interior, the usual level we expect from Hornby of all the printing etc on the delivery application. It really is worth a closer look at one of these if you fancy just something a little bit more quirky for your collection, but still has its rightful place in British railway history.
Absolutely, and even with all of that detail, the extra wagon, as you mentioned there, and everything else that comes with the Roston, this comes in at a fantastic price too, doesn't it? You can pick one of these up for just £72 at the moment, and as you touched on, there's those three really eye-catching liveries in stock, which cover quite a different range of colour schemes there, so there's something a bit vibrant for on your layout too.
Absolutely.
Now, I think we've got to touch on some of the other departments of Hattons, haven't we? Because it's not just me and Dave here at Hattons. We've got a fantastic team here of all different departments. We've got our store guys, our warehouse, our customer experience team, some of whom you might have dealt with yourselves if you've ever spoken to us on the phone or come into the store, or even just seen one of the pieces of paper that comes with your order as well. So there is a lot of us fantastic guys here at Hattons, and we've got a bit of a message from someone who you might have seen on the stream before.
We have indeed. It's an old friend of the stream who appeared on a couple of our episodes. It's John from the store, so let's take a catch up and see him now.
That's it. Let's head over to John.
Hello and welcome to the Hattons store here at Montague Road on this festive occasion. I'm John. Some of you may have met me in person in the store, or perhaps you've seen my contributions to the Platform 1 videos. I'm delighted to have the chance to talk to you again. We're having a fantastic holiday season so far. It's been a great year here in the store. And of course, at this time of year, train sets are still one of the most popular purchases for our customers, both mail order and in person. And we have a few popular items here that we'd like to highlight and just give you some emphasis as some possible purchases either now or once you've received your Christmas spending money and you're coming to see us after Christmas Day. The first one I'd like to make a mention of is this one here, the Industrial Freight. It's a traditional train set. It has an oval and also a point and a couple of pieces of track to enable you to make a siding. It has also got the new improved Hornby basic analog controller. And so that is a very good starter set for anybody who is starting out or who is rejoining the hobby. For people who are keen on the digital side of things, particularly if you're interested in linking up the control of your train set through a PC, through a laptop, shall we say, through any kind of smart device, your smartphone or tablet, then we have got this one from Hornby, the Western Master. It is sold with Hornby's E-Link, which is the magic black box which connects the traditional train set oval with whichever computer power source you wish to use. And then finally, from Hornby, I'd like to focus on what they're referring to as their family fun project. What you have here in this box is sufficient items to get you and the family started, and it's an elaboration on the basic train set theme. There's much more in the box than just a locomotive, a couple of trucks and an oval of track. It's a great way to get started, and I do believe that Hornby are also doing some additional items to it as well. But that is the key one, the family fun project. Now, of course, we've seen plenty of customers coming through the door, both old and new, this year. It's been a very encouraging last few weeks, certainly been very, very busy. And we look forward to seeing more of you coming in to visit us in the new year. There is always someone here who can give you a hand to set up, or whether you're asking questions, whether you're a new entrant to the hobby or whether you're returning. And so I'd just like to close by saying that from all of us in the store, we would like to wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Enjoy the holiday season, and if you don't get the chance to come in to see us before Christmas, don't worry, we're open throughout the festive season. We will be closed Christmas Day, Boxing Day, New Year's Day, but apart from that, we look forward to seeing you either before Christmas or in the new year. Thank you and see you soon.
Big thanks to John there in the store team. It's fantastic to hear from him, and I'm sure you will remember him from previous episodes of Platform 1 as well. So I think we need to open another present now, don't we? But I think it's my turn again.
Well, it's your turn, so your go.
There's one right here.
So what's under here?
Let's have a look and see. It's a Class 50.
It is indeed, and it's Dapol's N-Gauge Class 50 to be precise. Now, this has got to be the N-Gauge diesel release of the year, I think.
It's one of the best N-Gauge diesels of all time, I think.
Absolutely, and this is a real characterful design. It's an iconic locomotive amongst enthusiasts and modelers alike, and it's really been calling for a brand new model of this to come through for quite some time now, actually. There's never been a fully super detailed N-Gauge Class 50, and Dapol answered the call, and 2019 saw the release of these first 4 liveries.
That's it. As you can see coming through on the screen now, you've got a duo of BR blue liveries there in the unrefurbished style of the 50. You've also got the classic BR large logo colour scheme there with the refurbished body shell, and then there is also a Network Southeast livery one, which you can see on screen right now. And as you say, it's the first time we've ever seen a really highly detailed model of the 50 in N-Gauge, and it really is about time because of the importance of this locomotive. It was, obviously built originally to work on the unelectrified part of the West Coast Main Line up to Scotland, but then it travelled pretty much everywhere, didn't it? It got around in the South Coast, in the Western region, and further afield as well, and it was really known to be an incredibly reliable locomotive and really useful for a variety of tasks, so much so that they've actually brought them back out into operational service today with GWRF, which is just remarkable really for the age of the locomotives.
It's almost 3 entirely different locomotives really. There's so much varied history in there, with all 50 of them being used, as you said, in the late 1960s before heading south and being fully refurbished, and Dapol do cover both unrefurbed and furbished locos too in their tooling, and then really making a name for themselves in the southwest of England, working to places like Penzance and London Paddington. That's the time where they gained their warship names too, so a lot of locomotive names that you may be familiar with there, such as Conqueror, Warspite, Defiance, etc. in there too. So quite a few different options there if you are into your military naval history. But the model was quite a bit of time coming because, as said, there wasn't a fully detailed 50 available before this, but Dapol have kind of made it almost extra special because of that wait time.
Absolutely.
And there's so many features in there that are pretty rare to see in an N-Gauge diesel locomotive. We've got fully independent working front and tail lights as well. We've got an 18-pin digital socket in there, a really heavy tungsten metal chassis in there too. but also space for a sound decoder, which has got to be one of the first times in Engage that's been possible.
Absolutely. It's very rare to see sound decoders available for models like this. And it's something, I was just having a really good close look at it, as you might have seen then. And it's something that never really stops amazing me with this model, is the level of detail that Dapol has managed to pack into this as well. As you'll have been able to see from the photos and the videos, the livery application on these is absolutely incredible. You've got full underframe detail on there. You've got all the separately fitted pipework and handrails on the front, and a lot of roof detail in there as well. So it really does look the part, as you can see there with the directional lights working and a full rake of coaches as well. It really does make a massive impact, this, as it should, for such a big brute of a loco as it was in real life.
That's it, and some of the footage that you saw there just shows the variety of what you can run them with as well. Although they were built as express locomotives, in the later years they did work into regional passenger services, even some branch line passenger services in the south of England too, as well as a lot of freight heading into the 1990s. And as you touched on, there's still quite a few in use today on the national network as well, hauling multiple units and various other locomotives, so you can really pair them up with pretty much everything in an Engage modern image collection.
Absolutely. And they're a popular one in preservation circles, these two, as well, aren't they? So if you've got a Pres Railway, there's even more opportunities there for you as well. So there's hardly any eras of modern image layouts that can't do without a Class 50 on them as well. So it really is something for a lot of you guys out there. And again, this is something you can pick up right now on our website. All 4 of the liveries you saw there are available. There's digital fitted versions of those too, and these come in from £123.21. So it really, again, is a fantastic price for this level of detail and quality. You're getting in one of, as we said, probably one of the best Engage diesel locomotives we've seen.
So you've had 2 presents now, is it?
I think so.
I'm on 1 present, but I don't think that box is going to be big enough for me.
I don't think so.
You know me, I'm an O-Gauge fan. What have I got for Christmas?
That's it. You said you're an O-Gauge fan. I've got to get you something special this year. You know, so
I've been very good.
It's one of the most iconic locomotives of all time.
Oh, this is sounding good.
It's an A3, Dave.
It's our A3. It's the Hattons / Helgen A3.
That's it.
And this again is a 2019 release, coming into stock only a couple of months ago now, really. But they've been flying off the shelves ever since.
Absolutely. We were lucky to get one for the set today, pretty much, because there's been so many of these going out to happy owners of O-Gauge layouts. And of course, we had to pick up the LNER livery Flying Scotsman here, because that's the one everyone's shouting about. Of course, we do have quite a few different liveries of these available, which will be heading onto your screen right now. So there's quite a few different versions here, and there's a lot of different variations between them too. You've got a lot of different LNER colour schemes, and you've got the BR colour schemes too, right up to Flying Scotsman in its current condition with its smoke deflectors as well.
So this covers almost, well, pretty much 100 years of the A3 history now, coming up from their initial introduction in 1923, right through until the current day, as you mentioned with the Flying Scotsman there. And this was pretty much the ultimate development of the Pacific locomotive in the 1920s. Prior to the A4 coming through, this was the LNER's fastest locomotive and most powerful locomotive as well. They were developed by Sir Nigel Gresley to handle heavy express trains on the East Coast Main Line, replacing a lot of smaller locomotives that went before, and they really revolutionised that service there as well and became the envy of the other 3 Big 4 companies. So the fact that they had to go and build their own responses to these locos pretty quickly as well, coming right through there with the Lord Nelsons and the Princesses and the Castles of the Great Western as well. So this locomotive made everyone else stop and take notice.
Absolutely. And from there on, it's become probably the most iconic and most well-known class of locomotive in the world. Everyone knows the A3s, primarily because of the Flying Scotsman, famous train between London and Scotland. But it is such an important class in the history of British Railways that it had to come to O-Gauge, didn't it? It just had to be done.
And it's not just British Railways, of course, because Flying Scotsman has travelled the world as well. It's seen service in the USA, it's seen service in Australia as well, so really good to get it around the world. And I'm certain that a lot of our A3s have headed around the world as well, so following in the real loco's footsteps. And this model is, well, it's a bit of a first, really, because there's not many ready-to-run O-Gauge express locomotives such as this. And we see it here on Pete Waterman's Leamington Spa layout, so looking absolutely at home with a full rake of coaches there. And again, the detail in this, we've accompanied a lot of different tooling variations to include the German smoke deflectors, different types of tender there too. You've got a really powerful 5-pole motor in there driving the gearbox. You've got digital capacity, which is it's one of the easiest O-gauge digital locos to fit, really, because of the ESU L socket in the tender. It's got fully working screw-link couplings, fully detailed valve gear, etched nameplates. It's a museum quality product, but you can just put it on the track and drive it at the same time.
That's it. It doesn't just look the part, it really plays the part as well. As you can see there, those were long rakes of coaches that we had on the back of it, and it performs with absolutely no trouble at all. They really are quite incredible of what they are capable of doing on your layout. But it's not just perfect for pulling 20 coaches around your huge basement or loft O-gauge layout. It's perfect just as a piece of eye candy as well. This is just right for sitting on a mantelpiece, on your desk, or as part of your collection of other O-gauge locomotives, because they are really beautiful, these.
And this is exactly as it comes out of the box as well. All the details pre-fitted, nameplates pre-fitted, full cabin interior pre-fitted, pre-painted as well. So if you want to run it, all you need to do is take it off the board and put it on your track. If you want to display it, all you need to do is take it off the board.
That's it.
So really easy to get going with one of these. It's that simple.
That's it. And as with everything else we covered today, you can order one of these right now on our website for £750. And there will be further variations on the way next year as well. Of course, there will be unnumbered versions coming into stock, so you can make it up to be whichever locomotive you want from across the lifespan of the class. And of course, in the future, we will have our A4 locomotives coming through as well, of which there will be numbered and unnumbered versions as well. But why don't you find a home for your A3? And I've got another O-gauge loco for you to take a look at. I've got another present for you, Dave.
I have been good this year, haven't I? I must have been. But at the same time, it's been a good year for O-gauge as well.
It really has.
The O-gauge market is just growing and growing and growing, with some brilliant models coming through, not only for steam modelers as we saw, but also diesel modelers too. The main release from that this year, I've got to say, is Hattons Class 37-4.
How did you know? Because I've got you that as a present right here as well.
Well, I've dropped a few hints, I think, Jack. I've mentioned it a couple of times. But this is one that really does fill a gap as well, because it comes not into that 1980s scene only, but also right through to the 1990s and the early 2000s in some of the liveries we see here as well. And this is probably the most popular variation of one of the most popular diesel locomotives of all time. These are still in use today on passenger services as well, so coming right past their 50-year lifespans, coming still in service, still doing the jobs they were designed for, converted in the 1980s, and the differences with these is the little orange box you see on the front there, which lets them have electric train heating as well, so useful in summer and in winter.
Yeah, as you touched on, these really were one of the BR's pioneering designs really back in the 1950s and 60s that they came through, and it's incredible to see these still performing on the main line today. You can still see them in South Wales. I think they're still around in Anglia and a few other locations as well, hauling the Mark II rakes as an extra supply when there's not enough DMUs to go around. And it is amazing to see those out and about today. But the Helgen model that we have here in O-gauge is just incredible, really. As you touched on, there's quite a few different liveries covering the lifespan, as you will have seen there, with the BR green right through to the later liveries, such as regional railways as we have here. But it's not short on details, is it?
It's not indeed, and Helgen have had the Class 37 in their O-gauge range for a number of years now, but it mainly has been those as-built locomotives in the 50s and 60s liveries, and the call was out there for people wanting the more modern colour schemes, as we see on the screen at the moment. Helgen answered the call, and these have been flying off the shelves ever since, showing that models from the 1980s and the current day really are in demand as well. And as you said, some of the details you can see there, the fully working directional lighting and cab interior really shown well there, the full bogie detail, all the detail on the buffer beam as well that comes pre-fitted. Great for renumbering opportunities as well. We do have a small number of pre-numbered locomotives still left if you want to check out that link in the description. But the good thing about the 37 is, as you can see on the screen here, it's a go anywhere, do anything locomotive. Lots of different passenger liveries, lots of different freight liveries as well. Pretty much everywhere in the country has seen a 37 over the years, so pretty much any layout is suitable for one as well.
It's almost similar to what we touched on with the A3. It's such an important loco, and there's so many places you can use this. It was about time that this came through into O gauge, and it's really great to have this available. The beauty of this as well is there's such a massive range of rolling stock available right now, and even more coming in the future that is perfect to match with this locomotive as well. Of course, you've got Helgen's Mark II coaches coming through in the future, the modern era versions of the Mark I coaches, and a huge range of wagons too, some of which you will have seen in the running footage there, which makes a fantastic train to go along with V37 too. But of course, as we touched on, this is available right now, so if you do want to get hold of one for either your layout or for your collection in general, these are available from £509.15, so you can pick one up in the link in the description.
I'm spotting a theme with everything we've got here, Jack. It's all British.
It is all British.
It is all British. Now, we've got something else, haven't we, that's British, but a little bit different as well, and that has got to be one of the biggest releases and most unusual of the year, and this is Oxford Rail's Railgun.
We had to have a big box of that one there, because it's such a big model, isn't it?
It's absolutely humongous, and we've featured this a couple of times before on Platform 1, and it always goes down well, this particular model, because there's never been anything like it available to order.
It is totally unique, this one, and you can tell just from looking at it that this really is something special. Oxford took the modelling world by storm when they released the first version of the Railgun earlier this year, and there's been a few different variations that have come out since, but you can see just from the Leviathan size of this thing, and of course in the train pack version you do get the Dean Goods loco there as well, that this is something that is totally unlike anything else we've seen in modelling before. But it doesn't skimp again on the details. There's a lot of separately fitted handrails on there, you've got the crane jibs, you've got the netting on there, and of course you've got that fully posable railgun system on there as well, which can be mounted to whichever barrel situation you want it to be in.
And of course you're probably thinking, well, that's very nice, but we're talking £200, £250. We're not. It's £51. It's a stocking filler for that price. Well, we fill a lot of stockings at that size, but at the same time, it's an absolute bargain price for what you get in there. And it was used in the UK as well, right at the start of World War II. This particular vehicle is the Boche Buster, and there was also the Gladiator as well. And as you saw on the screen there, it's not only available on its own, but also with an appropriate locomotive to haul it in the train pack, and they are available to order right now. And as he said, we've not been able to keep these on the shelves ever since they first came in a couple of months ago now. So do take a closer look, but they aren't going to hang around, guys, so really do take a look.
Well, that first variation we have through just flew off the shelves and went out of stock really quickly, so we're very lucky to have some of the other variations still in stock now, but you really are going to want to get your hands on one while they're still available. If you check out online as well, there are some incredible photographs out there of how these did function on the railway during wartime, so you can get some ideas of how to pose one on your layout. They did tend to, I think they used them almost as a scare tactic or as a last line of defense, really, so it never really fired in action, but they were built as a coastal defense system. So there are some fantastic pictures of them creeping out of tunnels and actually firing in tests as well. So there's a lot of different ways that you could pose this on your layout as well.
So we dropped a hint there before, didn't we, about it all being a bit UK, and how can we forget the River Rossi big boy that we had in stock earlier this year. Now, this unfortunately is no longer in stock. As we said, a lot of these items really do go quickly, guys, so get on them straight away. But we had to put this in here today. We had to feature it because it was so different. It was so large and so popular at the time as well. This is a model of number 4014, which was returned to service this year on the Union Pacific Railroad in the United States, but also brought through as this model from River Rossi as well. And even in HO scale, it's huge. It's absolutely immense. It's like we touched on a Ruston before, being one of the smallest locomotives we've ever had at Hattons this year. This is probably one of the biggest 00HO models that we've ever had in stock before. It's absolutely unbelievable how big that thing is. You will have been able to see from the footage there just how big it is, but I think, you know, it's again another one where you're still getting a lot of detail in there as well. There's a huge array of detailing parts on there with lights, handrails, full cab interior, and all of that outside pipework and handrails, which you come to expect from a massive American freight loco. And again, this is another one where there's a load of great operational opportunities for it if you've already got one on your layout. You know, they were used for years on
gargantuan freight trains across America, I believe in Ohio and those sort of areas. But of course, the one that we just saw on the screen there is actually back out on the rails again. It's been fully restored, and it went on a mammoth rail tour of the US over the summer for weeks and weeks, taking in loads of different states and lots of different communities and cities. So there's some amazing photos out there of it in action with a load of coaches too. So there's a few different options for you there if you want to run one.
And that's just been this year as well, so no doubt number 4014's got a lot of adventures still to have. Now, as we touched on, unfortunately we no longer have this model available to buy, but do check out the link in the description, not only to sign up for an alert if we ever get one back into stock or variations of the same, but also to see some of the videos on our YouTube channel where we've done a full running session of this locomotive showing what it is capable of, but also comparing it to a UK legend, the Flying Scotsman as
Absolutely.
well. So take a closer look.
Do check those out on our YouTube channel. Right, so of course, one thing that we tell you in Platform 1 quite a lot is that we have an amazing customer experience team here at Hattons, and they're always there ready to help over the phones, over email, live chat, on our social media channels. Wherever you want to get in touch, our guys are there to help. And they wanted to join in our Christmas special as well. So we've got a bit of a special message from those guys, and we're going to cut over to our help desk manager, Joe.
Hi, I'm Jo Edwards. I'm Customer Experience Manager here at Hattons Model Railways, and this is my wonderful team. So if you've called, emailed, written or even visited us in store, it's my team that I've had the pleasure in speaking with you. We just want to say thank you for a great 2019, and we're looking forward to a fantastic 2020 with you right there next to us. Have a happy holidays and a wonderful new year, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Joe. Great to hear from you and the guys in the customer experience team as well. And as mentioned, they're available all the time for your questions, so do get in touch.
That's it. Now, of course, before we came live today with the Christmas special, we did ask you guys if you had any questions that you wanted us to cover, and we've had so many fantastic questions come through all across our YouTube and social media channels. Now, unfortunately, we've only got time for a few today, but we've picked out a few great questions here that we can cover.
Oh, you know me, I love the Q&A part of our Platform 1. It's the main bit I sit down for every Friday.
That's it.
Couldn't miss that out on Christmas Day. It's the reason I've got up, apart from Christmas dinner as well, of course. But here I am, and I'm ready.
Okay, right. I think we're going to have to go with 700 Shunter first, who's one of our regulars here on Platform 1. And he asks, what is your favourite scene to model? His favourites are like a farming scene or perhaps an abandoned mine.
That's a good question. I think for me, it'd have to be a really sort of grotty diesel depot with a lot of oil on the floor, various different signs and diesel loco parts out there as well, a couple of pallets of locomotive batteries, locomotives running backwards and forwards every now and then, some real sort of oil lighting in there as well.
You do enjoy that gritty realism, don't you?
That sort of gritty realism there, and you can achieve a lot of that with things like weathering powders and paints there as well, which we do sell, of course, you know.
We do even have, if you want that oily look as well, we do even have our own Hattons products, such as our oil spill and weathering kits for your track as well. So there is a lot of different items out there.
I think that's where I go. I know it's not quite Christmas cheer there, but certainly a level of realism there to just have that little gritty side. What about you?
I think I'm going to go completely the opposite way. I'm a bit more of an idealist. I like the way things to look a little bit nicer than what you'd expect. So, you know, I'm a big fan of, obviously, you know, from different Platform 1s, everyone knows I'm a bit of a narrow gauge fan. I love those small Northern Welsh narrow gauge lines. I think I'm going to have to go for those different slate mining scenes that you are synonymous really with the North Welsh scene, or perhaps one of those that's maybe slipped into privatisation, which again, into present day preservation. That's a word I was looking for. That was completely wrong. And you know, that's another one where you can really get a lot of different items to make that scene come to life. There's so much out there in stock at the moment, and you know, everything you need to make it look
so
just
a
right.
little bit chalk and cheese there, I think, between us.
So, yeah.
Two completely different layout ideas.
But that just shows you the beauty of modern railways. You can literally produce whatever you want, which is the beauty of the hobby, really. Right, I think we're going to go with some forthcoming release questions here now. We've got Liam TV asks, when are the new DAPO Class 67s available? I believe they're the N-Gauge ones, aren't they?
They are the N-Gauge ones, and they're coming through in the Royal Train DB livery, the Colas Rail livery 2, and a couple of other variations. We've been told that they're due just coming into next year now, in about February time. So we are expecting those, but of course you can pre-order them right now as well. But not only those, we are taking pre-orders for pretty much every forthcoming item within 2020 as well. A lot of great new releases coming up, so check out the link in the description to head over to our project updates page, where we've not only got links to available to pre-order, but also the stages that those various new models are at as well.
That's it. We try to provide as much up-to-date information as possible. Obviously, you can check it out on our project updates page. We try to cover as much as we can in Platform 1 every week as well. And you can also check it out on our social media channels. So make sure you signed up to our Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagram as well to get all those latest updates straight to you. But of course, we will be having another special Platform 1 episode soon on New Year's Day, and that one will be covering a lot of the stuff that's forthcoming in 2020 and looking ahead to Hornby's 2020 range announcements on the 6th of January as well. So if you want to get a bit of an idea of what's the most exciting products that are coming up in the new year, then you'll want to check out our Platform 1 special on New Year's Day as well.
2019 has been a fantastic year, as you see here, but 2020 just looks like it's getting better and better. So featuring some of those hot new releases, some real project updates in there as well. And as I said, looking forward to Hornby's new releases too. So make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to make sure you catch out on that one as well.
Absolutely. I think we've got one more question that we've got time for here. We've got Paul Renshaw, and he asks, quick idea, you'd like to see us produce products for more of the bigger scales, such as Gauge 1 or Gauge 3?
Now we are talking big there. We're looking about that big for a Gauge 1 locomotive.
I mean, you thought Gauge 0 was big.
I don't think my arms can stretch wide enough to get to a Gauge 3. I might have to ask for your help there, Jack. But that really is getting big, that, and that's heading towards sort of miniature locomotives. But
absolutely,
it's not outside the realms of possibility, really. Who thought we'd see what we're seeing in O gauge and 009 and N and all the different scales? So who knows what will come through in the next few years.
That's it, and we're always really glad to hear your guys' ideas. You have some really fantastic things coming through. You never know, one day one of those ideas could make the next big product in model railways, no matter what gauge it is. So get those ideas into us. We've got a special email service that goes straight to our development team, which is ideas@hattons.co.uk, and pop your ideas in, and you never know what might happen. Right, so we've got one more special video now, and this is coming from our warehouse team.
Where would we be without the warehouse? Well, I don't think we'd be sat here for starters.
We wouldn't be.
Really, but at the same time, as good as it is to have all the products here and talk about them and order them, we've got to get them out of the door. We've got to get them to you to have on your layouts or on your fireplaces or taking pride of place in your collection. And our warehouse guys are the best of the best there, I think, for getting them out of the door and making sure pretty much everyone has what they want as soon as they want it.
Absolutely. We ensure things get out as speedily as possible downstairs in our warehouse, but also much care is taken as well to make sure it gets to you as safely as possible with great packaging. And I think we need to hear a little bit from those guys, so we're going to cut down to our warehouse team and see what they've got to say as well.
Hi, I'm Liam.
Hi, I'm Lena from Warehouse Team.
It's been a busy year with thousands of orders travelling across the globe to our happy customers.
And we look forward to sending you out many more orders to you in 2020, so thank you very much for placing your order with us.
From the Warehouse Team, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday.
Thanks to the guys and girls in our operations team there who are an essential part of the Hattons business.
But there are some people we've not said thank you to, and that's all of you guys watching. Big thank you to you all for watching the Hattons YouTube channel, for being customers of ours and buying so many fantastic products throughout the year. And also, as we say, helping us out with Platform 1, being part of the community, being part of the comments, and getting us to over 20 episodes, which is absolutely unbelievable. I can't believe we've already got that far. Of course, thank you for joining us on Christmas Day as well. We hope you have a lovely Christmas and also a fantastic New Year. And hopefully we will see you again on New Year's Day for our New Year's special episode.
We'll see you next year.
See you later, guys.